All right, quick video on my holdings. Now, I mainly hold miners, gold and silver miners, but I also hold a few large caps and a few small caps, actually. I'll get to those later. But I think it makes sense just to start the video by very quickly recapping gold and silver in particular. So here's gold. Obviously, we've had a massive pump, it was trading into this channel, which is typically a bear flag because you typically lose the ascending support and move lower. But actually, this one screamed higher, and you could say just started to trade in a new channel. So like jumping tracks, you could almost say. So very bullish. But I think now we finally have gotten to the point where we really are overextended, and I feel like we're going to come all the way back down to this channel here. So maybe even mid 1800s. I mean, obviously we have yet to flush 1900, so let alone get to the 1880 zone. But yeah, I do think eventually we'll come back down. I think that will coincide with the dollar moving up, with yields, and with the market moving low. Anyway, I mean, that's a whole different hypothesis, but this is the gold chart. Silver had its pump earlier on and then started to move sideways, so it's actually ignored the more recent pump in gold. The miners basically followed gold. You can see they were in a channel, then we pumped even higher. That's the seniors, GDX, GXJ, very similar, basically identical. I do think we're going to move lower. Now, with all of that said, let me move down, and it's in no particular order. So I've typically got the seniors on top, and then I moved the sort of medium tier miners, and then I get to the juniors. So here I've got Barrick Gold. As you can see, it's been very strong. We're still pretty much at the high. So one of the more stronger miners, and really a very strong consolidation bottom here, round bottom, and then a pump higher. So Barrick Gold, very good. Very bullish. This is the type of stock where you can even sell it late. You know, if the miners start to flush, I think I could sell it and then avoid maybe the delayed drop. But Barrick Gold, very good. Newmont, this had a very weird day. I actually sold in the 57, just above 57 on this day, right at the open. I don't know why it's got a very large candle which stretches even higher than 57. I think it was pre-market trading. But anyway, if you sort of ignore this candle because it is just noise at this point, you can see Newmont is really trading near its highs. Let's call it 55, but not as strong as Barrick Gold. But otherwise, very much in line with the GDX chart, which makes sense. It makes a big part of it. Agnico-Eagle, another very strong candidate. This one, very strong. You can see it's pretty much hit the long-term descending resistance. It's pretty much broken. I'm not going to say broken out of it, but, you know, popped its head above it. Maybe even closed above it on that particular day. But this is very strong, pretty extended too. So I wouldn't be surprised to move back down to 50. A lot which would coincide with the drop I expect in GDX. Wheaton, okay, another weird candle, but very strong, you know, pumped higher, channel pumped even higher, and really near its old highs of, let's call it 46.5, which coincides with that resistance. So has got its own personal resistance points in the chart, but very strong. One of the stronger charts. Pan American Silver, I remember that was weak during the pump, but then it had a late consolidation move higher. I mean, yeah, you can see how, you know, it would drop here, lose its own ascending support, coincide with the GDXs, but this one is, I think, underperforming the general sector and its peers. It's still a very strong candidate. Pan American Silver, stock I really like. Mag Silver, this did very well early on. I didn't really move too much higher. I did trade it very well, though, I must admit. So I have no regrets. And then I think there was an offering 1 or 2 days ago, which just, you know, already the chart wasn't strong. Maybe there was some insiders who knew, but, you know, this is before the miners collapse. And I mean, assuming it happens, I do think it's going to happen. So Mag Silver, I don't intend to buy back what I sold over here until we get to, you know, 13 or lower, to be honest, because I think it's possible it had a close at the low of day. And like I said, I expect miners and the gold and silver and the markets to just give back a lot of ground. So, you know, who knows, maybe low 12s. I look forward to buying this back. No hurry for me, but I like to see this this drop. I've been waiting for a drop in miners for a while, and this one is doing so early. Gran Colombia had a small delay in the pump, actually. I remember sort of thinking, is it even going to take out 3? It did that, and then, we started to move higher. I have sold this really near the highs, a bit like all of them, actually. I've sold all of them at their own sort of levels. I usually watch GDX and sell it there. I mean, I sell the miners based on GDX, but then sometimes I'll look at the individual chart and I feel like, okay, this one could get higher. This one's on a nice move. I feel like it's going to be very hard for it to go and take out 63, 70 and move higher. So I do expect this to come back down to 3, maybe even lower. Let's see. What a very nice pump, very nice. Goldfields, talking of nice pumps, look at this. When I think it was the news that it was going to decline the Yamana buyout deal, or Yamana had a better offer from God, I forgot who it was now. Pan American Silver and another company. I think I own them both, actually. Agnico-Eagle. Anyway, huge pump, beautiful, sold into it. To be honest, I've sold into all the pumps, so I don't really need to say that. This one, I mean, it's not trading near its absolute highs, but it's still very, very strong if you consider how much of a move up it's had. I kind of refuse to buy this until we get to the sort of 10s. So if we can get a move lower in the metals, the miners, the markets, and come back down here, I'll probably start nibbling in. And if we can flush, the 10s and move back down to the 8s and the 9s, let's see if we can even get to 9, then I would be buying there. But very, very strong candidate. If you remember, before the miners actually dropped, before the gold price dropped with the rest of the market, because we actually moved up initially when the market started to tank. So gold was actually going higher. But, I always look at that and remember, look, Goldfields was at new highs and then it was forced down the market. So I like to buy stocks that were basically forced to go down because of the general sector, but otherwise deserved to be at new highs. So, I'd love to buy Goldfields if it gets lower. Fortitude, this one was also one where you can buy it with a bit of a delay. So it was only sort of here-ish, high 5s, whilst every other gold stock had already made its move. So I bought that on the breakout. I'd already owned some, but I added to some on the breakout, which I rarely do, and then sold it just below this trend line. 640s, was it? 644 or something. Went a bit higher. Now we'll see. It might come back down. I'll buy it back. First Majestic, very weak. Very weak for, if you consider, I mean, I know silver hasn't really moved up in the last few weeks, but, it's had a massive run. And the miners have had a massive run. And this is supposed to be a miner. So this is really underperforming. I don't know if there's news out actually on it, but this is another one where if the miners start to drop, you could really get this, much lower. Actually, I don't know if much lower. It's already been sold quite a bit, but mid 7s, let's say 7.5. And who knows if it flushes that under 7. Amazing steal. Maybe even lower. Let's see. But First Majestic, very weak. So, and that's before the drop, which I still anticipate. Unlike the other peers, this is another silver miner. Fortuna just made new highs. So, yeah, I didn't actually sell this. I thought I wouldn't sell until I get to sort of this zone here, 4.6. But I must have sold here already, It's at a certain value that I accept. That's the way I trade. I trade certain, at the moment I've decided to have light holdings in miners, so they've all got their own sort of associated value. I want Fortuna, for example, should never be worth more than $4,000. So, that's what it's worth right now for me, and I'm happy with that. If it's worth, and then if it goes all the way up here and it's worth 4,500, I'll just clip $500 off it. Until I think it's really even more of a sell, I might make it worth 3,000. I don't know. That's the way I sort of trade. But at the moment, I'm looking for a move lower, but it's just made new highs. So I'm in no hurry. I'm not trading this, but Fortuna is one of the stronger silver stocks. EXK similarly also tagged its old high. It's also come down the last 2 days. I did not sell this. I actually forgot to. I wanted to. And my good till cancel sell got cancelled by the NYSE. There was something that happened. So actually that was very unfortunate. I don't know if anyone else got those sort of good till cancel sell orders just terminated with Interactive Brokers. Something happened, but anyway, no worries. You know, I've already sold this on the moves higher before. I just wanted to sell again, but I feel like this one could come back down to here if the miners come down. So low threes, looking forward to that. CDE had a late pop because it had some bad news whilst everything else was going up. But still, the old faithful made a nice move back up. Didn't sell it. If the miners come back down, to be honest, I would have missed the whole move, which is very frustrating because it was in the low threes, and then it basically even takes out 4. It's kind of an obvious area to sell. It doesn't have to absolutely hit the old high of 430. I think my sell was at 429. I missed it initially on that day, and then I should have moved it lower. I should have known that, you know, maybe I should be selling at 419, for example. It's kind of obvious to me, but I forgot. I missed. It's the problem when you're watching too many stocks. You know, that's one of the reasons you shouldn't own too much. You know, you split your focus. And what's that Sun Tzu saying? He who defends everywhere is weak everywhere. You know, if you try and split your focus everywhere, you're not really strong everywhere. But anyway, I should have done better. There's no excuse. Now I move on to the more juniors. Those were the sort of mediums, these 4 or 5 over here. Goldfields up to Barrick, the seniors, and then Fortitude all the way down to Coeur. Those are what I consider the juniors, the medium tiers. But then the juniors, here we go. They're the ones with the big long names. This is Discovery Silver, fantastic stock. I think a lot of you might know it. To be honest, I don't own enough of it. It was a new stock I was buying in the 80s, so I wasn't up for selling here. I knew that here, just above 1 or just below 1, was an area to sell, but it was too close. And it's not even that. It's not even that. It's just I want to own more. So if it comes back down even to 90s and I'm buying higher than my average, I don't care. I want to own more of it. So, but anyway, you know, I lower highs. If the miners start to drop, then I'm sure this one will, you know, flush and start to come back down under 1, and maybe even the 80s or high 70s. I think that's possible. Trillium gold mines. This is the one mine that has not gone up actually, and I'm underwater on this one, not by much. I don't own that much in these juniors, so that's good. But still, I expected more. I feel like this might just have news and pump, a bit like the other ones have done. Actually, the other 2 I'm about to get to had that sort of a move recently, but this one here is just sort of at lows, even made new lows very recently, so not the best sign. So what happens if the miners drop? I don't know, but I've definitely got no buy orders in. I also don't think this has much more downside to go. I mean, we are at absolute lows, and I think it's a good stock from the few videos and researches I did a while ago. But yeah, what I'm hoping for is a nice pump where I've got my good till cancel sell orders in. Even though they were cancelled, I put them back because I know these can happen any day, and you really will live to regret it if you don't sell into a massive squeeze pump. Turmalina, as you can see, had that kind of a pump. Now, here was 1. I don't know if it was technical, or there was news, or it was both. It was possible. I actually forgot. I sold into that. I bought back because it basically retraced the whole move. I thought, okay, let me just buy back what I sold. Pumped again, sold that. Did not buy back because I thought it'd come all the way back down. And then I didn't sell here because I'd already sold there. And basically I didn't trade for a while. And then bam, we squeezed here and I sold into that. And I'm not buying back basically until we get to 30s. But I want to see how it reacts to, you know, the minus going down if it goes down. But I'm willing to buy back in the 30s what I sold there. So it's just literally rinse and repeat. Reyna silver. That one also, this is more technical breakout. There's no news, there's no big squeeze, but you can see this breakout, this descending line, also this descending line. Yeah, I mean, I sold into this here. I think I only sold once. I haven't bought back yet because I do expect the miners to come down. So in sum, I've basically sold into the miners rally. I've bought back in some cases. And now I expect the miners to come down even more. So I'm just going to, you know, generally speaking, I'm going to machine gun my way back into the most important stocks, the more predictable ones, the more liquid ones, like the seniors up here and some of the juniors, the medium. These junior ones that are less liquid, less obvious, harder charts to read, I'm going to be very patient, and I'm only focusing on these. I used to own like 15 of these, lottery ticket, pocket rockets, whatever you want to call them. And, sometimes they'd stop going up whilst the whole sector's going up, and that's frustrating. Sometimes you'd have bad news, and it's just, I don't need that anymore. When you've got a certain amount of money, you don't need to gamble, and you shouldn't even gamble on stocks like that unless you really know the sector. So I've just sort of kept it to 3 or 4 where I really think that there's great potential, but otherwise I'm happy to add to more, more established names like these medium tiers and obviously these seniors. So I mean, yeah, the senior could go up 30%, whilst these little juniors can go up 150%, but they can also go bankrupt whilst the whole sector goes up, and there's nothing more frustrating. And to be honest, 30% gain, no problem with that, especially if it's more predictable and more tradable. So I mean, there's lots of reasons to own seniors over juniors. I mean, you've also got the dividend play, but I don't really care too much about dividend. But yeah, so those are the trades that I've basically done and what I expect to happen. So I'm hoping to buy some soon with the drop. I don't see myself selling any miners soon. They'd really have to go up to the next level. Now, as for other stocks, actually some of these stocks I don't own, they're just sort of near my portfolio as a watch list. So these 2 stocks are the same thing, Prospera Energy, just something I've come across the last 2 days. This is the US OTC version, and the reason I got the Canadian one is because there's more history. So actually, this is just, it looks like it's a small cap oil stock which has hit the YouTube wire the last few days and had a bit of a 30% pump. So I don't like buying something after it's gone up 30%, but if the plan is for it to go all the way up, then there's 0 difference between buying now or before it went up 30%, believe it or not. So I might just buy a little bit now. If it comes back down, I'll buy, more. So I've yet to see that. I want to see how it trades the next few days, but it's an oil stock. So yeah, just one I've literally just added today to my watch list, even though I don't own it. So that's why I've got the Canadian ticket. It's really because there's more history, so I can actually judge the charts more. When I look at the US one, I mean, how do you read that? Similarly, I've got this natural gas stock. Now, this one I do own. I own the US ticker. I actually bought some recently because I believe natural gas will go up, and this is a fantastic stock. I mean, natural gas, if you remember what that chart looks like, it's under $3. It's like $2.70 at the moment. So absolutely destroyed, but this stock is holding quite high, and this has a great, it's got great catalysts, news, and fundamentals. It's fantastic stock. So no problem adding to that just before a move up in natural gas, which is what I expect. This is the Canadian version. There's just more history to it. So that you can see the US tick has some history, but maybe not enough for me anyway. So yeah, the only stock I own basically after this Reyna, this gold stock, is Trillium, and this is the US ticker. That's the only one I own. And then I've got these 3 3D printing stocks, which I own. Now, 3D printing, if I just zoom out, you can see the potential. And if I zoom out even more, you can really see the potential. Now, past performance is not indicative of future gains. Famous quote. It's true. Just because it's been there doesn't mean it's going back up there. But this sector, and this is one of the more senior stocks in the sector. If you ask anyone what the top 5 of the 3D printing stocks are, they'll definitely mention DDD. This, and also you can see just technically they're very, very strong. I know the markets have gone up, but look at that. That's pretty, that's a statement right there. I do expect it to go down with the markets, and I already own sort of the amount I want. I want to expose myself to this sector massively, and there's no better time than during a recession, a bear market, and the big crashes where even the really good companies get destroyed, as this one has. So I own a decent amount. I'm very happy. So if it comes all the way back down, if it comes all the way back down on the markets, I'll be buying the lows again. I'm happy with my average. It's like low 8s, no problem. Whilst everyone else, I'm sure, is in the 30s or, they've owned it for a while. So me being in the low eights, no problem. Desktop metals, this is the riskier one. I should really put that underneath. Let me start with Nano Dimensions. This is also one of the big, stronger names, great balance sheet, technically very strong. When the market was going down, it stopped going down and then it started to go up with the market going up. Very, very nice. Very good fundamentally too. So this one basically own about the same amount, just a little bit less than 3D printing. I'll be buying the drops. Since I expect the general markets to come down too, you can check my last video to see what I think of that. It's a bit like the miners actually in the gold and silver. I expect it to come down, and I expect this also to come down a little bit, despite it trading a bit independently from the markets the last couple of weeks. I do expect it to also come down the markets. So I'll be buying the drop. I'm basically not chasing anything, and I'm not buying anything. I expect everything to come down. So I'm not buying anything. Maybe the only thing I can buy is this new stock here that I've just discovered the last 2 days, but it'll be very light amount, especially because it's just gone up 30%. But essentially, I expect everything to come down in the next couple of weeks. This one, Desktop Metals, another 3D printing stock, the riskier one. I've traded it so well. I mean, honestly, I was buying it earlier up over here, trading it, which meant my average was moving down. And on this drop, I owned quite a bit. I was really underwater. And then I traded it so well. I bought this drop on that day out of anger, which I think I got lucky on because that's not how you should trade. But, it came all the way up, selling it, buying it. Honestly, it just traded it so much. My average just went all the way down. And here again, bought this low. I don't even know what my average is, but I've actually sold quite a bit also just on this pop here that right now, if it goes higher, I'll probably sell the whole thing and then just beg for it to come down. And I might even be in the black overall if I start selling it here. So this one is the only one I owned back in the day and just traded it so well. And the amount of money I'm up overall on these two definitely makes up for it. But that's not the point. The point is I want to be exposed to the 3D printing sector for the next couple of years. And I might want to add a few more stocks because what I've learned in training the miners is doesn't matter how good you think the stock is, you've got to diversify within the sector and stick to the big boys, the seniors. You may have these ideas of certain juniors or even medium tier stocks doing really well, and then they just out of nowhere, look at Alesco, for example, right? Medium tier just almost went to zero. So just spread it out. And if you're right, you're right. Otherwise, buy the ETF. But I'm based in Europe and you can't really buy the ETF. So plus it's not my style. I like to at least go with specific stocks. But anyway, this one doing well. If it comes back down, I'll buy. If it goes higher, I might even close the whole position and buy it back or buy another one on the drop. I do expect everything to come down, of course. Now we're moving to a crypto, the only crypto stock I have. Traded it very well, especially here, sold this. And on this recent pump, sold pretty much half. So if we move higher, if Bitcoin goes to 25,000, I'll be selling. Nah, I won't be selling on the fours. I'll be selling 5. These things really move. I've owned HIVE back in the day, and I'm talking about I owned it here, bought during this period. It was dead money, left it alone. And then when this pop happened, I did sell a bit too much early, but I held enough to sell all the way up here twice, and then my last sell here was 314 before the split. I don't know where that was. I think it was here. And I thought I did something wrong and then it came all the way back down. So I've just traded this miraculously. So yeah, I'm going to hold what I've got for a 25,000 push. And I think that would coincide with $5. So HIVE looking to close a position here. I need to see where it really is if Bitcoin gets to 25,000. But that's my plan, and then buy it back down. Tilray, this one, I mean, I've held it for a while. I've been trading it nonstop, but it's getting to the point where, I sold this move here. I sell every pop. I don't care what the news is. I don't care about news. And this was the elections, they're going to legalize they're going to passed legislation to decriminalize weed, but also you were reading that it was just some ploy for elections. So I should have sold more into it. I should have known better, but I sold some. Thankfully, didn't buy back. Bought back the absolute low. I've sold it again here. If this goes any higher, I might just close the position because I'm kind of bored of it. I don't even know if I'm in the black or the red. If I'm in the black, it's a little bit. If I'm in the red, it's a little bit. I just prefer this money elsewhere. I prefer to just own, I don't know, Intel after the collapse it's had, or and still I think everything will come down lower. But a more established name. I don't know, like Paramount, which is one of the reasons it's down there. But again, after that drop, so I was thinking about it. Why do I even own Tilray? You know, um, if it's not for an election play, or yeah, I just thought the money's probably better elsewhere. It's one of the few ones where I've constantly got this little yellow marker in my Excel saying you should probably get rid of this. Like it's not really fun to trade anymore. And again, I don't know if I've made money or lost money, but it's not much. And anyway, BHP, one of the big boys, great dividend. I think it's 11%. Bought this all the way down here. I think I announced it in one of my videos. I was looking for BHP, Rio, Freeport, McMahon, Glencore. It's one of those four. And I mean, this move is incredible. Of course, I should be selling this here because this is resistance. The move is ridiculous. It'll come back down, but I don't own enough. The dividend is nice. And to be honest, I'll just hold it. So, I mean, mainly because I don't own too much and the dividend is good. But I'm just, if it comes all the way back down, and it should come lower than this, I'll be buying the drop. Fantastic stock. I mean, the Tilray money should be in this, even here at this elevated price and resistance. Mind Medicine, this is one where I think I am actually in the red on this because I traded it very well. And then on this, I forgot what it was, some guy talking about buying it out or some activist. I forgot what it was. And I basically bought this gap close reversal, and then it started to flush, and then I bought more, not too much. I spread it out. I'm calm. I'm not some crazy guy who's ready to put it all in one stock. I mean, you can see how spread out it is. And by the way, 50% of my assets are in cash. So you can imagine how I am not fully dedicated to this stock. But anyway, point is it came back down. Normally, I trade my way out of flushes very well. This one didn't happen. However, once we got to this area, I was trading a bit better. I did move my average down, and this pop was great. I think I'm half out. At this rate, if we go higher and we go for the gap close here, I may be out on average. I need to check. But yeah, that would be cool, given the fact that we're in absolute lows. Look at that. What I mean? This gap close is nothing. It could even go all the way up to 7, 8. So I may just leave some machine gun sells. So once we take out 370 or 380, sorry, and we'll go right past 4. I'm not going to put a sell at 4, but 449, 499. And then if we get to here, 549. Normally I'd be all out, but I might leave it just in case we're going for a move back to here prior support of sort of $8. I mean, you can see where it's been, how destroyed it is, how little it would take to get back to here. So I don't want to, be all out by 550 and watch it just go for another squeeze. So this one, I think there's no problem getting out in the black and making a profit. And it's already made half the move, to be honest. This is the most important part of the move, the first part and holding it. So let's see. OTLY, that made a crazy move. That was off news too. So this one, I was also in the red, but after this 100+% move, which reminds me of the HIVE move, in the black here, especially on this last sell here. But I sold most of my stuff around here. And I should have put a little stop loss in to just close the position, but whatever, I didn't. And we're almost back there. Basically, at this point, I mean, I don't care what happens. If it comes all the way back down, I'm buying because it's oversold. It's a good company. It's had very good news. If it goes higher, I'm not even selling because I've sold this range. And then if it breaks out and makes a run to $4, I'll close at 4. Out in the black, more money. Amazon bought this at the lows, just with Tesla and Zoom. I bought all three of these on the same day, absolute lows. I don't own enough. Obviously, everyone knows Amazon, very good stock. I think the move in the Nasdaq and the S&P is almost done. Nasdaq is at resistance. You can see Amazon also at resistance, even though we've taken out the descending line. You can see these. You know, it used to be support here. It was support and gap here. It was resistance, resistance. Basically, 100 to 105 is just total enough for me to just stick a nice yellow line, white line. You know, this is a trend line. So I do think we're going to come, you know, if we go higher, great, I make more money. But I do think and hope that we come back down. I want to lose money because I want to buy more Amazon. This is another candidate which I prefer to own instead of Tilray. So that money from Tilray into Amazon. Tilray is the only one I own, which I don't really like too much. Mind Medicine, I think I can get a pop out of it. OTLY, I've already made the money. So yeah, no, it's just Tilray that annoys me. So yeah, Amazon probably follow the Nasdaq going down. That's my belief. Zoom, I bought that down here, absolute lows. I think it's high 60s or something, but that's just coinciding with Amazon and Tesla. Sorry, Tesla, I'll get to later. I sold that. This one also, and I don't know if everyone else is seeing this, but okay, this descending line we broke out of, that's nice, but you know, the whole market moved up. So, but look at this descending line here. Starts from the top, hits this one once. The thing is, it doesn't hit enough times in between, so it's hard to call if others see it, because if others see it, then it becomes more credible and more of a move. But I just feel like Zoom could have a serious squeeze. I don't own enough. To be honest, Zoom, Amazon, and Tesla, I didn't own enough. I just bought all three at the same time. It was a trade on the general NASDAQ. But if the Nasdaq moves low, I hope Zoom moves low. But the Zoom is already totally destroyed, trading pre-COVID levels, and Zoom made so much money during COVID that I think it belongs higher than pre-COVID levels. But anyway, a lot of things get destroyed when the markets go down. So Zoom, don't mind if it goes even lower. I want this startup position to build a bit more, a bit like Amazon. Tesla again. Bought 107. This one I do remember the number. And another one where it's a great run. So from 107, yeah, 60, 70% move. I'll take it in 1 or 2 weeks. So I took it. I forgot where I sold 177, 176 or something. I forgot. It doesn't matter. It's the exact same thing. But I sold. I thought, yeah, maybe we could go a little bit higher to 200. Nice number. But I feel like the Nasdaq's done. And also, although this looks like a level, when you zoom out a bit more, you can see these two areas here, And I thought, what if this is the level and I missed the whole thing? We just collapse next week. So that's why I sold here. So a great gain. Plus, it was up on news 2 days in a row, like 10%, 10%. So I just feel like, that's kind of enough. So I closed Tesla and Paramount. I actually closed that a while ago, just below 20. I was just in the black on that. That was another one where I was caught buying this before the bear market, and then sort of trading it very well. You can see these ranges here, boom, boom, boom. So I made good money. And then we started to move low with the markets. This actually kind of resisted some of the move down in the markets because it already got crushed before the markets went down. But in the end, bought some back here twice. So here on this one, and actually here, basically I was selling just below 20, 19 something, and I was out for profit overall. And then I thought the market would come down. It did. And then here we broke higher. I didn't expect the market to move this much higher. So I missed potential extra gains. But trust me, when you trade for a long time, you completely don't care. Like, I could have made more money. I just don't care. I mean, look, I bought other stuff that went up more. And who I didn't think this would happen anyway. So I don't deserve the money. So I just keep it here because it's a strong candidate to look at if the markets do go low. I feel like Paramount has seen its lows. Tesla, I just haven't moved it down yet to the other stocks that I don't own, but that I'm interested in. So that's the portfolio. I hope that wasn't too long. I hope I didn't go through it too quickly. There's a lot of stocks to go through. I'm 50% in cash, so although this looks like a long list, and some of them I don't own, right? So obviously Tesla and Paramount I don't own anymore. I used to own both. And then you got these two stocks here. One of them's a Canadian ticker, one of them's the US, but I don't own them at all. And this is the Canadian I don't own. It's just there because there's more chart data. That's it. The other stocks I'm looking at basically are tagged with a red mark. These are speculative, risky ones. They've actually already made their move with the market, as you can see. Peloton, Teladoc, DocuSign. In fact, everything's gone up. But the red ones here, and I should really organize this a bit better, but to me, it's organized. These are the sort of blue chip, more established names. You recognize them already: Intel, Google, Microsoft, Apple. These are the ones I was interested in before the rally. Obviously, they've all gone up. Yeah, I'll look at these when I still think the market's going to come all the way back down. So I'm not hurrying into anything. I won't be buying any blue chips unless the market comes down. I expect the market to come down anyway, not just for the blue chip NASDAQ, S&P, Dows, but also the miners. So I'm not buying anything. I expect the market to come down. I'm heavy in cash. I've made good sales. So very, very happy and ready for either event, up or down. But I really think it's going to come down. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that little portfolio review. Let me know. Otherwise, have a good weekend.